Welcome to part two. We'll be doing a continuation of the practical solution. So let's continue where we left off, right? We left off with the part where we added the accordion control, which comes pre-installed with three tiled panes, right? Titled pane. So each pane, if we look at this thing, needs to be each pane should be a titled pane and should have a label, should have a name. Firework display, the first one. So I'm gonna double click on the title pane to give it a name, and then Control A to select everything, and then I'm gonna call it firework followed by a space display. Right, there we go. There's the firework display. We'll stretch it out a bit. Don't worry about that. And then title pane number 2 is lead pyrotechnician. Right, and then number 3 is fireworks, if I'm not mistaken. So it's fireworks. And then there we go. We are almost there. We're getting there. So firework display lead pyrotechnician. Okay, I didn't write it the way they want it to be. Capital T should be there. Lead pyrotechnician, right? And then if you look at within each firework display, there should be a grid pane. So we need to go back to this. Okay, let's stretch it out a bit. You see the height is fine. The height is fine. If you look at the height, it's maxed out, it's fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stretch the width a bit, right? So let me stretch the width. Okay, I think that should suffice. Okay, it's a bit bigger. Come on, I need the accordion to. Okay, there we go. So it should be half, right? The first half should be okay. Let me size reduce it a bit. And if you look at the values, look at what's being reduced. It's the preferred width. The preferred width is the one that's being reduced. So we have this, which is fine. So after the accordion, we need to have a canvas and all those things. So before we do that, let's fix the title pane, each title pane. If you look at each title pane, right, it has an accordion, it has an anchor pane, and that's not what we want, right? We want a grid pane based on the practical. They said a grid pane. For each title pane, you should have a grid pane, not an anchor pane. So I'm going to delete the anchor pane and then search grid pane at the top. Grid pane basically means that it's in terms of a grid, meaning that there's rows and columns. So be careful of what's being highlighted, because what's being highlighted is where you're placing it. I want to place it for title pane number 1. Paste it there. There we go. Done. We are done with title pane number 1. And then title pane number 2, let's delete the anchor pane and then drag and drop the grid pane. Title number 2, title pane number 3. There we go. Let's delete the anchor pane and then add the grid pane. And then there we go. Everything is fine. And then we are done with the accordion control, right? We're almost done planning. And then we need the canvas, right? So the canvas is fine because we can just place the canvas there because it's fine. It's being placed on something, right? Remember, the canvas needs to be placed on something. In this case, we're going to place it on an H box. So that's fine. That should suffice. So canvas, just search canvas at the top and then click on H box, right? We want it to be on the H box and then release. And then now you need to resize the canvas, right? So I'm going to stretch it out to be the same width, almost the same width. It must reach the end of my stack panes width, which is the root pane or the root node. And then I stretch it downwards to increase the height. There we go. So there's the width, there's the height, and then X, Y, whatever. But yeah, that should be it. I think we are done with the setup. So this is how it should look, right? You have your lead, you have this, and we can also start adding colors, right? Let's start adding the colors to make it a bit fancy, to make it look like this, right? We want something that looks somewhat like this, right? So let's look at the menu bar. The menu bar, the border line is what? Blue. So let's do that. Let's make the border line blue for the menu bar. So I'm going to click menu bar, select it, and then there's the options. There's a lot of options. So let's go under properties, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, under properties, that's where you should click, and then style, and then background color. Background color is basically the color of that thing. We don't want background, we want border color, which is the surrounding sides or the edges of that node. So I want it to be blue. So I'm just going to type blue. You could go online and search the specific color. For those who know CSS, you could put in the color there by searching color palettes. It starts with a hash. You could do that. But I'm not going to make it too, I'm not going to make something, I'm not going to make it become too complicated. So for the menu item, so for the menu, they said it looked green. So let's see, let's make the border green for the menu. Okay, why is it not? Okay, that seems like I can't do that. So let's look for this one. Okay, let me just type because now it's not showing the options anymore. Let me just type it down. So remember, if you want to set something, it's prefixed with a hyphen fx hyphen. Then you write the thing that you want to set. In this case, I want to set the border color. So border color. Let's just set that to green. And then let's preview and see if it did work. Yeah, there it is. It is green. You don't have to do this, mind you. It's just you being fancy. Yeah, you don't have to do that. So the important thing I would say that you have to do is for the accordion control, so that you can see where does the line stop. That's when it becomes really useful. Other than that, you don't need it. But you can see the blue border. The border for the menu bar is blue. So we did achieve doing that. So let's add more colors, right? So let's look at our design. So it is green. Then let me also make the menu itself green. Let's see if we can do that. Border color to be green. Border color to also be green. Yeah. So we did do it. That's exactly how I assumed it's going to be. There's the border color green, green. It's fine. So now what we need to do is set the accordion control. But before we do that, I want the H box itself to have a color. You see this H box itself, it's in green, right? So yeah, I'll set the style to green. So FX border color. You can also add images if you want. So border color, set that to green. There we go. The H box should be green now. Let me preview. Yeah, you see, there's the H box. There's the screen. You can't really see it, but it's there. It helps us to know where one thing stops and where one thing starts. So if when I add for the border lines for the accordion control, you'll see that there should be a line here, so that we can tell where does this accordion control start and where does it end. You see, it becomes helpful in helping the user be able to tell the differences. So we have title pane. There's title pane here. Let me see, what color did they use? They use purple. So for all the title panes, I'm gonna use purple as the style, right? The border color. It's gonna be purple for all accordion controls, right? So purple. There we go. And then next accordion control, border color. And then I'm gonna make it purple. And then title pane, border color. Mind you, we're gonna write this in code. Here I'm just writing it so that we can see we can preview it, but we're also gonna need to write it in code. It's helpful to design it here because you know what the rows and columns are going to be. You see now it has lines. You see, that's what I was aiming for. Those lines, you can tell where one thing stops and where one thing starts. But the problem is the H was it the H box or the accordion control itself? We didn't add, we didn't give it a border line, right? The border color. So let's do that. So click on the accordion control so that we set the border color for the accordion control. In this case, I think it looks like a shade of yellow. Yeah, yellow. So I'm just gonna say yellow. The border color should be yellow. Then there we go. And then I can preview this. You see now there's the border color, it's yellow. That's perfectly fine. We are moving in the right direction. So the last thing that I want to create is the grid panes. They are all what? They are all what is this? They're all orange. So let's make them orange, right? So within each title pane, I'm gonna go to the grid pane and set the border color to be orange. So orange, there we go. And then the next grid pane, I'm gonna set the border color to be orange. So orange, there we go. And then title pane, set the grid pane border color to be orange. Orange, there we go. So let's preview the grid. So let me do this. There's the orange. It's beautiful. There's the orange. Just amazing. It's beautiful. So far, so good. So we are done with the accordion control. Now we're left with the canvas. And then the canvas, if you look at it, the border is red. It's a dark red. But it's just the color red. So I'm just gonna say color red. So let me see. Can we really set the canvas to? I don't think we can. I think we need to add. I think we need to add the canvas onto some pane. Yeah. If I want to achieve what I want to achieve right now, I need to add this canvas onto some pane out there. So let me remove the canvas and then add a pane and then change the border color for that pane to be red. But let's try and I don't think it's possible, but let's try. Let's try to add the border color right to red. Yeah, you can't. So we need to add it inside a pane. You don't have to be honest, because there's the line that clearly distinguishes the two. You don't have to do that, but it's fine. I just want it to look somewhat close or similar to how they want it to look in the prac. So I'm gonna need a pane. What pane should I use? It can be any pane, doesn't really matter. I'll just use the anchor pane or just a pane, a regular old pane. So let's just put it inside a regular old pane. And then if you look at the pane, it's by default, its height is the same height as my H box. So I'm gonna resize the width. And then there we go. And then I add the canvas. Now I add the canvas becomes the child of pane. And then the canvas needs to be resized to match the size of its parent, which is the pane, which is the generic, which is the abstract class pane. So there we go, scroll down. There we go, perfect. So I need to change my pane's border color to red. So you see now I have the options because I'm using a pane now. So this, okay, why is it opening? So this should be red. There we go. We are officially done with designing. So there it is. This is how they want you to, this is how they wanted you to design it, right? This is how they wanted it to look. So this is how it's going to look when it's all set up, right? So I'm gonna keep this open so that when we are writing, we can just reference to back to this and see how we should set the size and everything. The measurements and everything, those are important. Okay, time flies. It's already 15 minutes past. So let's go back to the practical, right? Let's start creating. So we have the design, everything is fine now. Everything is fine. So we need to, let's create the firework display pane. I feel like that's the most important one, because now we have the pane and we have the measurements and everything. There's ones who add them later, or visitor and whatnot, who add that later. So firework display pane, right? It's a class that extends stack pane. So it literally means that. So let me just drink water. I'm feeling parched. Okay, I'm back. So firework display pane is a class that extends stack pane, right? This will act as your root node for your scene. We did talk about that. So I will add I think on the last video of this, on the last part, remember this is part 2. On the last part, that's when I'll add the thing, the image that we created. And you just flip it up, upside down, in order to see the tree-like structure, where the first pane, or the first node, that we'll call that the root node, because it sort of like mimics the root of the tree. Because remember, it takes the form of a tree-like structure. So we have the firework display pane class is responsible for storing nodes that will be responsible for opening a layout binary file. So they'll be responsible for reading a binary file, right? And they didn't say text. Be very, very careful. They said we should read the binary file, not text. Binary file. So we're only reading the binary file. So let's copy this name. And they said everything should be placed under this package. We need to follow instructions very carefully. So remember to place the relevant classes into the axi.csc2a.fmb packages, right? So every class that we're creating right now, except for the canvas is stored inside its own package. So I'm going to copy this, right? And I'm going to show you something very important here. If you look at this, right, this axi.csc2a.fmb.model, it's already defined. There's already this package axi.csc2a.fmb. If you try to redefine it, you're going to face issues. If you try clicking this and say package, and then you paste this, you see it says it already exists, which makes sense. It does already exist. So this is the part whereby you should actually understand Java and how there's the different ways of creating a class within a package, and a class within that package. So you want to click on source, and then right click, and then click on new, and then say class. We're creating a new class. And then here at the top, instead of specifying that package, remove the model part, right? So that it's placed inside FMB. Because remember, they said it already exists. And then here I need to create a class called firework display pane. I don't want to type it down. I'm just going to copy it and then paste it. Come on, paste it there. And then by default, it's going to extend the object.lang class, right? The object class, I mean, which is inside the java.lang package. Because remember, everything by default is a package. If you remember the introductory classes, that's why I emphasize the importance of watching all the videos, because if you don't understand everything that I was describing in all those previous videos, you're gonna have a serious issue. You're just gonna be writing code for the sake of writing it, and then next year, finally, you're still doing Java, and now it's advanced Java because you're doing data structures and algorithms, and you're gonna have a serious issue. You won't be able to do your practicals. You will notice that even if you try to use ChatGPT, things are not gonna go your way. So I advise those who didn't take those videos seriously to go and rewatch or download the textbook and read the whole textbook. Because if you're a ComSci major and next year you're doing ComSci 3, I'm telling you, it's not looking good, bruv. It's definitely not gonna look good. So let's just continue. we have this, it extends, if you remember the PDF, right? The instructions, they say it extends stack pane, not object. So you could here inside where it says superclass, which specifies what is the parent of this class, what is the superclass, another term for it. So I can click browse here and then go there at the top and search stack pane, right? Inside Java FX. Don't click other things like AWT. And notice something very interesting about this. It shows you the location, which is in the home drive, the home directory, and then there's a my username directory and the JavaFX directory and the lib directory and the specific Java file being used. So all that setup was very important so that it can locate these things, right? So I'm gonna click OK, and then I can say constructors from superclass. I can do that. Don't really need to do that, but yeah. And then I just click finish, and then I'm done. That's one of the ways to create it. The other way is you just leave it as by default the superclass, and then literary type extends keyword in your application. So I'm gonna click finish, right? So there's finish. It used the default, it added the constructors for my default class, whatever, for my parent class, of which there's this one, the default one, then there's the parameterized one. If you did read your textbook, you should know what these three dots mean. That's what I'm saying. If you don't take yourself seriously, the marks won't also take you seriously. Keep that in mind. You don't take yourself seriously, the marks are also not going to take you seriously. So you better normalize reading. Don't be playing around, going partying and doing all these things. That's just a phase. And by the time you graduate, you realize your friends have graduated a long time ago because they took themselves seriously. It's not like they're smarter than you, they just took themselves seriously. Go study. This means something in Java, and I'm not going to explain it because there's a lot of slides out there on Eve, and they also given the textbook and this website to get free textbooks. So you literally have no excuse. And why UJ provides you free Wi-Fi. You have no excuse. Oh, I don't have a laptop. And UJ provides you computer labs. You still have no excuse. So don't keep making excuses. You run out of excuses because UJ is trying by all means to help you. They are trying to help you help yourself. They're not gonna have to study for you. You came to do the qualification. You study for yourself. So go Google, not Google, go read what this means in Java. Read your textbook. You'll be surprised how much information, how much you can learn from just reading the textbook. You'd understand the whys behind something. So this references the super constructor, the constructor inside of my super class and all that. I'm not really gonna need this, right? The only one that I need is this one. I don't need this constructor. So I'm just gonna delete this one. I don't need it. And then, okay, I don't need this now. Then all I'm just gonna do is call my super constructors implementation, my super classes construct, just by typing that. So there we go, we did extend. And then there's something that we need to take a look at. So the Firework display class will have the following components: display bundle instance. Pay attention, it's an instance. So basically it's just a variable of this type. That's what they mean. And I know it's an instance because it starts with a capital letter. Everything that we are being taught applies in every practical. It starts with an uppercase letter, so I know it's a class. So that's why they're saying it's an instance, because remember, a variable of a class or a variable of data type of a specific class is called an instance of that class. So I know that this is a class, so display bundle, copy, and I'm gonna create my variables, right? So this is where I'm gonna create my, these are gonna call my instance variables, right? These are the instance variables because they're they're different on each instance, and they're allocated, the memory is allocated for every single instance. So therefore they are called instance variables, when you create a static variable that's called a class level variable, it means that it's actually part of the class and not part of the instance. If you get the differences, if you read the textbook, you should be able to understand this with no issues. So private display bundle, I'm just going to call it bundle. And then it wants me to import. So if you didn't do that thing that we did, setting up, saying, adding this jar file to buildpad, you're going to face serious issues. I did add, so it knows where to locate this class. So I'm just going to import and then done. So we go back to this, and it's going to call this function to blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll get to that. So we also have a firework display canvas that will handle displaying the firework display reenactment, right? So for the canvas, like we said we get to that. We'll get to it a bit later. The main focus right now is the pane. We'll deal with the canvas later. So I'm gonna skip this line, but I will remember it when I have to. Okay, let's just create it because I might forget. That's the thing about explaining, doing questions and explaining at the same time. It's hard to multitask because you might make that mistake of forgetting to put some things. So I'm gonna take this package and then copy that package and then create a package, right? Mind you, this package is not defined at the moment, so it's fine. It won't complain at me. You see, it's not moaning at me and telling me, oh, it's already defined, already exists now, because there's no GUI folder yet, but the other folders were already there. And if you did study, you'd know what a dot means and what a package actually is. A package is just a folder. That's all there is to it. So finish, and then there's the we so far the only thing that we've added that's new, it's a GUI folder. That's all we've added. The .fmb is there. But all you're saying is that go inside the FMB folder, create a new folder called GUI. That's all we're doing there. And then I need to create the firework display canvas class. So I'm gonna copy this and then right click and then new and then class and then firework display canvas. And they said it should be a canvas, so it should extend canvas if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it extends canvas. So it should extend canvas. So I'm gonna type canvas and be careful, very careful of what you are importing. If you import AWT, you're bound, you might get lucky. You might, and that's a big might. There's a 1% chance of you getting getting lucky, but there's a 99% chance of you getting unlucky. So include the right things. I want JavaFX, and then I'm gonna click OK. And you see javafx.scene.canvas.canvas. I want the canvas class within all of these folders or that package. I'm not going to click the constructors from superclass because I saw that it keeps including many things. So I'm just going to click finish, and then there we go. I just needed this canvas so that I can create an instance of it this side. We'll implement it later. So private firework display canvas, and then I'm just going to call it canvas. And then remember, you need to import, you need to know where you're getting it from since it's in a different package or a different folder. So yeah, if it was in the same package, you wouldn't have to worry about that. So we are done creating that instance. We'll go back to the canvas class because that it needs a bit of thinking, serious critical thinking in order to solve it. So what I'm gonna do is right now, I'm gonna continue where we left off. So a menu bar containing a menu item. To open a file chooser to select a layout binary. So I need a menu bar containing a menu item. So you don't need to do it this way. There's many ways to doing it. You can declare your class. What is this? Let me see. Okay, you can declare your menu bars and your menu items and everything within the function or whatever. But me, I'm just gonna create instances of it. You don't have to do it in this way. It's just my way of doing it. because the problem is when you have to do UML, your UML is going to be very long. So I advise you not to do it this way, but if you feel like if you're brave enough, then do it my way. So private menu bar, and if you remember the convention for naming things, it should be, see, starting is very important. I'm going to choose number 2, import javafx.scene.control. Bam, magic. And then now it's fine. And then I'm going to need more instances. I need a menu item. I also need a menu. Where am I getting all this information? Because when I look at Scene Builder, right? Look at Scene Builder. I have a menu bar class. Within the menu bar class, there's a menu class. Within the menu class, there's a menu item class. So I know that I'm going to need instances of all those 3. So I'm going to need an instance of menu, and I'll need an instance of menu item, or I can just call it menu item. And then import the right thing, JavaFX, because majority of the errors you get is because you didn't import from the right package. We're working on JavaFX. Don't import things that are not part that you're not going to use. So I'm going to close this, close without saving. So we have this, and then let's go back here. We also have the HBox, VBox, and whatnot. We have all these things. So what I'm going to do is, excuse me, what I'm going to do is, let me go back here. Let me see. And accordion control, okay, they do talk about it. Oh, I forgot something very important. The scroll pane. The scroll pane, it makes it easier for us to be able to scroll. That's all it's good for us to be able to scroll, just in case we have a lot of information, right? We should be able to scroll. And where should we put that? They told you. That's why designing is very important, because I have the design now. I can plan and do all those things. I don't have to keep it in my head. The brain can't be trusted. It's very flawed. So we have provides a scrollable container ideal for storing multiple fireworks. And within that scroll pane, if you look at the requirements of the practical, within the scroll pane, I think I misread that. Yeah, within the scroll pane, you see there's grid information for 1, information for firework display, for display firework 2, information, and so forth, right? So you need to be able to scroll. There's a lot of information you should be able to scroll. So for accordion, I know it's the fireworks section, right? So the fireworks section, I need to add a scroll pane. So I'm going to delete grid pane, and we set it to orange, right? Yeah, the border color. So I'll set that later after adding scroll pane. So I'm going to add scroll pane. Okay, I want an empty scroll pane because I want to add my grid within the scroll pane. So grid pane, the default scroll pane comes with an anchor pane, and I don't want to keep deleting that. That's why I just chose the empty one. So I'm gonna resize it to the maximum of that pane, and then scroll down and then resize. Okay, that should be fine. And then I need the grid pane to be orange, right? So border color should be, okay, let me close this. Border color should be orange, right? So let's preview it and see. So there it is. There's the orange one. You see, you can be able to scroll. So we fixed that small design issue. So yeah, so Control Shift S to save everything, but I'll just say Control S to save. Okay, keeps wanting me to create a file. We'll get to how you can just straight up import this into your project and start coding. That's an advanced class, but it's not really advanced. But yeah, just saying it's an advanced class because you guys are not yet familiar with JavaFX. Once you're really comfortable, then you can do that, because under the hood, you know how the code should look like to set up that grid, to set up your pane or your GUI, how to set it up. You know how it looks under the hood. So we have this stack pane, we have the menu bar. So I need to add the accordion control. All right, so let's see how to name it. It's called accordion. You see all these names, these are actual names of classes. So let's make it easier for ourselves, right? So we have the menu bar, menu item, we're done with that part. But I also need this VBox to store these two things. So I'm gonna need the VBox to store those two things. So let me declare that. So private VBox main, let me just call it main box. JavaFX, import the right thing. So I'm just gonna call it main box because that's my main box for adding the two things to make it easier for me to remember. Oh, I also need an H box. So I'm gonna need an H box. I'm just gonna call it H box, keeping it simple. And then go back to my planning. So we need the accordion now. That's why I was saying, if you are brave, you can add these variables if you want your UML to be too long, because you see how many instance variables I'm creating. They're a lot. You don't have to do this method. You can do a different method if you want. So I'm gonna need an accordion control, right? So it's part of the class is named accordion. So I'm just gonna say accordion like this. And then JavaFX, don't include the AWT, don't include the wrong things. So private, now we need title panes. If you look at the title panes, how many are there? It's 3. And I also have 3 grid panes, and I also have 1 scroll pane. Yeah, it's very painful to do this, but they want you to become familiar with JavaFX so that you can use the more advanced features to speed up this process. So I'm gonna need 3 title panes. So titled pane, and if you remember in your class how to declare multiple variables of one specific type, you separate it by a comma. So titled pane 1, titled pane 2, and then titled pane 3. You don't, like I said, you don't have to do this. Your UML is going to be too long. You don't have to do this. So we have this. I also need a scroll pane. So let me add that private scroll pane, scroll pane, right? There's a lot of imports here. And also be careful of which package are you importing it from. And then we need 3 grids, grid panes. You could technically use an array list. It's up to you, however you want to structure, however, as long as it works. As long as you're writing proper Java code, it's fine. Doesn't matter how you want to do it. So grid pane, I have 3 grid panes, right? So grid, okay, let me give them names. Okay, even the title panes. Let me give them names based on what they're storing. There's firework display, right? So that one I'll call it titled display, right? And then we have lead technician, right? So I'm going to call it titled pyro, titled pyro, so that I know that's for the pyro technician. And then titled fireworks, titled fireworks. So that makes it easier for me to remember the things when I'm coding. And then the grids, what else am I looking for? Okay, the grid pane, the grids, right? Same naming convention, but I need to prefix it with what type it is. This is a title pane, so I prefixed it with titled so that I remember. Oh, I'm referring to a titled pane. So this is grid display, and then grid pyro, and then grid fireworks. You can name it whatever you want to name it. I just want to remember these things. And then we have an abstract class abstract pane class. So I need to have that. So private pane, and I know it's for my canvas, so I'm gonna call it canvas pane so that I remember it. For me to also remember, it's meaningful, and to also help other developers. And we have the canvas instance. Remember, this is this one which remember this class extends canvas. So technically we have the canvas. So we are done with all the variables that we need. We have everything. And then that's everything we need. We'll check all the differences like the colors and whatnots that we need. So let's look at this, right? We could just write everything here, right? Inside this function class, inside this class, we can write everything there. But the problem with doing that is because your code is going to become cumbersome. So let's create a method instead, and then you call that method instead inside this construct. So I'm going to create a method, right? It's going to be a helper method, so I'm going to make it private, meaning that it's just going to help this class initialize these things. I don't want to call it inside. I don't want to call it. I want to make it public because it's not going to be used by the public. It's only for private access only. That means it should only be accessed by this class, not any other class. So private void, because it doesn't return anything. What should we call it? So create, or you can call it setup grid or create grid, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call it setup grid and save everything, Control Shift S. And then remember that when it comes to, okay, I also need there's something that I forget, file chooser. This file chooser helps us to choose files, right? So we're gonna need that. And then for the labels and text fields, we'll create those within. Yeah, we'll create those within whenever we start displaying, because there are a lot of text. There's a lot of information that needs to be displayed, and that's gonna be unnecessary for me to do all of that to create the variables. To create the variables, all the variables required, because I don't know how many fireworks are there. And there's also a lot of there's pyrotechnician information, and there's firework display information. It's just a lot. So I'm not going to create the labels and text fields as instance variables. I'm not going to create them here. I'll create them as I go inside this function. And when it comes to file chooser, right? The file chooser, remember, it helps you choose a file. Hence file chooser. Hence the name file chooser. So I'm going to call it file chooser like this. This helps you to choose the file. So we're going to choose the file using this file chooser class. So this file chooser class, it actually needs the stage that you're going to be using. The stage that's of which the file that you're going to want to choose, you choose from. You need to pass the stage that you're going to choose the file from. So with that being said, when I call, remember this helper function, we just need to call it here so that we don't write code into the constructor. Remember, the constructor should be simple. Here I'm going to pass in the stage so that when I instantiate that side, so here I'm just going to call it stage because it's going to require a stage. If you don't pass the stage, it won't be able to initialize the file properly. Yeah, it becomes a problem. Yeah, it's complaining because here I didn't say it takes in a stage, so I also need to say there. So stage takes in a stage. Yeah, and then so far so good. You could also add Java doc for there, and then this is just the primary stage. And then we have everything. You could have. Does it have it? Okay, it doesn't have. It doesn't have it brief. Okay, it's not like Doxygen. Yeah, C++ is way. C++ also has Java doc, sort of just like Java doc. There's a annotation called add_brief, which briefly explains what your practical does or what this function does. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that. So we have this. We need to set up our grid. This is where the interesting part comes. You definitely need to understand what you're doing. If you don't understand, you're gonna face serious issues. So let's do it step by step because there's a lot involved in this one function. There's a lot involved. So remember this class. It extends stack pane. So I can call the function instead stack pane to initialize my grid, right? So if you look at the stack pane, let's start with the stack pane itself, right? Let's initialize the stack pane. right? What function, what are the requirements? It has a preferred height and the preferred width, right? The preferred width and preferred height. So we need to set that. How do you set it? If you remember your class, in class, when they taught you about object-oriented programming, or the videos that I posted, if you did actually put in the effort to watch, you should remember this, that to refer to something in your inside of your parent class or your base class or your super class, you use the keyword super followed by dot. So dot, I want to set the preferred width and the preferred height. Or since it extends, you can just omit the super. Remember, the super keyword, it actually is very useful when you have the same function that with that name. In this case, I don't need to specify it. I can just write it like this and just say set preferred height. And then the preferred height is what? 650, 650. So you can just do this. Or if you want to be fancy and say super, it's up to you. There's many ways to kill a cat. You can do that. But I'm just going to use super so that you guys actually pay attention to what this means. It means I'm referring to a function inside of my super class. So that you don't think it's a magic function, because you're going to look here and like, where's set width? Where's set preferred height? I don't see it. But if you see the super keyword, oh, it's from my super class. And then super dot set preferred width, and then that should be 900. And remember, it's a double. It expects a double, but you can just leave it as an integer. There's this thing called implicit casting, which is casting that will be done automatically. So you don't have to worry about that. But I like to be responsible. I'm gonna actually pass in a double. So dot zero, and then if you wanna be fancy, you can put a D there to denote that it's a double, but already it's a double. I'll just put it there, the suffix, just to sort of like remind ourselves of the previous things that we learned, if you forgot them, the basics of Java. So we did set the width and the height. And also remember, we need to set the border color. Okay, we didn't set the border color for it, right? Yeah, we didn't set it because the style is empty and we didn't set anything. And then we have a VBox. And we did create the VBox there at the top. It has its name. We called it main box, right? And then we have an H box for the horizontal box. We have all those names. So what I'm going to do is let's do this one thing one at a time. I want to see the actual output, right? One at a time. So remember, previously we passed just a generic pane, but then now we have our own class that extends stack pane. So we need to create an instance of that class. So firework display control. I press control backspace so that it auto completes for me. Then display pane is equals to new firework display control pane, which takes in that stage, because if you don't take in the stage, you won't be able to read the file, right? And then we can just omit this part because we did specify the size. So I can just set my synth to just take in that pane, because remember, inside of our pane class, we did set the size, the preferred width and height. So if I run this, it should run. There we go. You see, perfect. So I want you to see one at a time when you're adding these things, that if you understand what you're doing, it should actually make sense. It should be easy to do. So I need to have, let's start one child at a time, right? Let's do this. Let's minimize this. So we had the stack pane, right? Which is this class that extends stack pane. So it's this class. And then we need a VBox, right? So let me instantiate a VBox. So let me say instantiate. Okay, I think I'm gonna write my comments like this. Then here I'm gonna say this instantiate a box, right? And then, okay, I don't need to do that. So let me just do this. And then instantiate a VBox. I like to put it this way so that you can really see what's going on. It's easier to read the code also. So yeah. So the VBox, right? It's called main box. So main box goes to new VBox, instantiating a VBox. And if you look at the VBox, right, there isn't really any specific things that we said we are setting, right? There isn't anything special about it. We didn't set anything. We didn't set the color. We didn't set all those things. So we're just gonna leave it as is. And then within the VBox, we have a menu bar. So we need to add all those things as we go. So I'm gonna do this. Then copy this. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of code, but it just makes it easier for you guys to understand. So we have this. I need to add, let me initialize a menu bar, right? So initialize a menu bar, and then that menu bar is within the VBox. So I need to add it as one of the children for VBox. So let's do that. These things, I think if I do it like this way, if I do it this way, I think it's gonna be very long. So what I'm going to do is, how do I make it easy to read but not too long? Okay, let's just reduce that one line. Okay, let me just do it this way. Let's see. And then here I'll just say instantiate the VBox, right? And then I'm gonna delete this. Okay, let me copy this. And then if I have multiple lines, what I would do is I'll just create a heading for it. So if you look at menu bar, right? Menu bar has two things. There's the menu and the menu item. So what I would do is I'm gonna say instantiate a menu bar. I need that heading there because there's pretty much a lot that you need to do here. So the way it works, right? If you want to set this thing up correctly, you start from the leaf node. Leaf node meaning that this node has no child. If you look at menu item, it has no child, right? There's nothing part of menu item. It's like the last level. So that's the last level. I start with this and then I go upwards because the menu item is within the menu and the menu is within the menu bar. So that's why I'm saying I need to start from the leaf node or from the bottom or from the node that has no child, which in this case is menu item. And I remember I planned very well, so I know my names. I called it menu item. It's equals to new menu item, right? And then the menu item, I need to pass in the name. You could just have be extra and leave it empty, and then you say menu item dot set text to set the text for the menu item. We're going to call it open. So let's just do that, right? And if you remember in object-oriented programming, this is what we call a mutator. Remember, this is a class because I see it starts in uppercase letter. So it's very important to remember what you were taught. So here we are initializing a menu item. So the overall thing that we're doing here is to initialize a menu bar. But we need to initialize one thing at a time. We need to initialize the menu item. And then after initializing the menu item, we need to initialize the menu. Or instead, okay, yeah, let me just say we initialize a menu. Makes sense, right? Of which I called it menu if I'm not mistaken. And then I'm going to say new menu. And this menu, you could also just set the text in there. You could do that. But then it becomes like it's up to you. It doesn't really matter how you do it. But I just want to demonstrate the power of JavaFX. That it actually it's based on classes. It's just full of classes and accessors and mutators. That's all there is to JavaFX. And then dot set text again because you want to set the text. This text is going to be file because if you look at the menu, what heading does it? What name does it have? It's file, right? It's called file. And then I'm done with that. And then menu bar, I need to initialize menu bar. If you look at menu bar, we haven't initialized it yet, right? So I need to do that. Initialize menu bar. So I'm going to say menu bar is equal to new menu bar. So what the difference between this, the menu bar and the menu item and the menu, is that menu bar takes in a menu as part of the constructor. Don't pass text. Don't do this. It doesn't take text. It takes a menu that we want to add to the menu bar. Or if you want to be fancy, like I said, it's up to you. You could do this. You can say menu bar dot get items. There should be items. Dot get okay, dot get. Where is it? Why is this thing not showing? Oh, okay, I see. I'm doing the wrong thing. So the menu, it's the items one is the menu. So what happens is the menu item, right? It's on its own there, and the menu is on its own. I need to add this menu item to be part of this menu. So how do I do that? Add menu item as one of the items for this menu. So how do you do that? It's menu dot get items, get that observable list. The get items is sort of like get children. It's the same. It works the same way, but just that menu now it deals with menu items. So therefore it's called get items. And then I call the dot add. You see, it takes in a menu item. And then I add a menu item. So now that menu item is part of this menu. So far, this is what we have. Without the menu bar, this is what we have. I have this menu item part of this menu, but we haven't added the menu to menu bar yet. So let's do that. So we need to, you can pass the menu here like this, and then you have the menu. But there should be something. Okay, apparently you can't. Yeah, there's no other way. There's no get children and whatever. Let's see. Let's try this. I don't think it's gonna work, but let's try this. Let's see main. Yeah, it's not gonna work. So you can just initialize the menu, the menus inside the constructor for menu bar. That's how you initialize it. And then so far we have the menu, but we haven't added. Remember, the menu bar is part of this VBox. We haven't added the menu to the VBox yet. So to show you that if I run this, it should be empty because I haven't added the menu bar to my VBox, and of which I called it main box, right? So this is part way initializing. So let me just say add to VBox, add menu bar to VBox. I'm just gonna edit one at a time, one thing at a time. I won't call the add all function. I'm just gonna call the add so that we see the structure, everything one step at a time. So I'm gonna say main box, that's what I've called it, dot get children, and then dot add. What am I adding? I'm adding a menu bar. Right? I'm adding a menu bar. And if when I run now, it should show the menu bar. Okay, why isn't it showing? Oh, now I remember. That's the thing about understanding inheritance and JavaFX. We haven't added the VBox to the stack pane. Remember, the stack pane is the one that displays everything. I still need to add the VBox to the stack pane because VBox is a child of stack pane. So let's do that. So add menu bar to stack pane. Stack pane, right? And remember, since this class already extends stack pane, I can use the super keyword to call my super function, right? And remember, we also said you can omit it. I can say super.get children, right? And then dot add. What am I adding? I'm adding a menu. Menu. I'm adding a main box, the VBox. The VBox is the one that's on the stack pane. So I run this, and then voila, there it is. It took a lot of code and a lot of effort, but if you understand what you're doing, you wouldn't face any issues. So you see open, open, file, open. We haven't added functionality for when open is clicked. We will add that functionality. So we need to set the colors. I want to set the colors as we go. So let's set the colors. Remember, we need to set the colors based on how we designed it, right? That's the power of designing. So let's go back to Scene Builder. So if I look at VBox, right? Let's start with VBox. VBox, it has no style. So we don't have to worry about that. There's no style there. There's no background color that we set. But menu bar, on the other hand, it has this. So we need to set the style. This is the menu bar, right? So before, remember this is the menu bar. I initialize it before I add the menu bar to my VBox, right? Before I add it, I need to make changes to it. I need to set the style. So menu bar dot set style, and then the string that I want is it's prefixed by fx hyphen, right? And you set the thing that you want to set. I want to set border color. Then here you put in the value. What's the value? The value, if I check here, it's blue, right? It's going to be blue. Then don't forget to save. Control Shift S, or you can just click at the top here and then save all. Don't forget to save. And then if I run this, okay, it didn't set. I don't know why it's doing that. Error passing FX border color, unexpected token at. Why is it doing that? Or maybe I'm setting for the wrong thing. Let me see. It is there though. There's the border color, and then it's blue. I think it also depends on operating systems. I don't know why. Oh, it deleted. Okay, my bad. It deleted what I was busy explaining. Yeah, that's the thing about explaining. You get lost in your explanation. So there it is, one at a time. You see, it's one at a time. Let's also change these colors, the border colors for these ones too. Red to what? Green, right? They said green. You could also make your application fancy. We could actually add colors, like set the background to black and whatever. We could do that. We could make, let's just do that, right? Let's make our application very beautiful. Okay, I need to cut this session now. So before we cut, let me see color palettes. Okay, let me just say, let's say log in system design. I just want to borrow some design ideas. Let me see if we can't mimic some designs here. Okay, I think we can mimic something like this, something very basic. You see, so the border would be white, and then the background would be that color. But then I don't know what that color is. That's the problem. So I need to see someone who actually did the design and they show the colors. Let me see. Okay, and then scroll. But that's a good idea, man. That's a good idea. Let me see. Let's test it out here. Okay, let me add a new one. Let's say background color. What background color can we use? Let's say black. And then it'll be green. The text will be green. Not the best. It's not one of the best ideas. Let me see. What color can we use? Let me say cyan. Yeah, I think cyan should be fine. Yeah, let's use cyan as the background color, right? I think the color cyan should be fine. And the text should be black. Yeah, I think cyan should be fine. Let's make our thing beautiful. So to add multiple styles, right? You separate each style. When you're setting the style, you separate each style with the semicolon. So I'm going to say semicolon, and remember every style is prefixed with f dash fx dash or hyphen, not dash, hyphen fx hyphen or dash. I think it's the same thing. So I want to set the background color to cyan. So let's run it. You should see cyan, there it is, and then should open the file and everything. And we can also set the background color to be cyan for the stack pane. We could do that, but I'll do that and I'll add more things in the next video. So that's it for now. See you in the next recording.